Blog Talk Radio.
Paranormal Review Radio.
Welcome, everyone. It is Friday night, and you're listening to Paranormal Review Radio, the only radio show without commercials and with more great paranormal talk. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Anthony Agati in New York.
And I'm Luci Liebfried in Chicago. You are listening to one of the highest-rated paranormal radio shows on Blog Talk. No bull, no lies, just a true platform for everyone to share their knowledge and experiences. When searching for the truth, good communication is key. Our phone lines are open for questions or stories. The number to call is 661-244-9831. Make sure you press the number 1 to get into the queue. We'll try to get to you as soon as we can. Otherwise, our chat room is open, so you can post any comments or questions there as well. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Paranormal Review Radio. You'll find more articles, blogs, and full show uploads. And if you have specific questions, comments, or would like to be a guest on the show, email us at paranormal.review@aol.com. Now, sit back, get comfy, and prepare to open your minds. It's time for Paranormal Review Radio.
Are you that person who wishes to celebrate Halloween every day? Do you seek out a scary story on those dark and cold and spooky nights alone? Or is the idea of watching someone perform a ritual you would never dare to try exhilarating and fun? Well, then you probably already know our guest tonight, and if you aren't aware of him and his YouTube channel, Lupus Creepus, then, well, you're not a die-hard scare nerd. Lupus Crepus is notoriously known online for his insanely scary rituals called Will It Kill Me, performed in his own home late at nights, inspired by the infamous Creepypasta website, as well as telling some of the most spine-tingling, Twilight Zone-ish stories, both fiction and nonfiction, that will surely keep you up at night with all the lights on and your cell phone clutched in your hands. But Lupus Creepus also knows how to share the fun, too, and added a section to his videos called Lupus Plays, where he plays the coolest and creepiest games online. Want to know more? Well, then, Luci has said it best. Sit back and relax, because it's going to be a creepus night. Please help me in welcoming Lupus Creepus to the show. Hey, Lupus, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you doing?
Great.
Hey, Lupus. You know what? It's great to have you on our show. I have to admit that I'm having a hard time calling you Lupus. It's fun, but it's a little strange. Obviously, that's not your real name. But how did you come to this name? And why not something with wolf in it, since it's your favorite character?
Well, we wanted to go with something kind of, wolfish, and kind of the idea of, Canis lupus. So It was kind of a little bit of a play on that, Canis lupus, Lupus Creepus. So it was our little play on those words to kind of create that name. So it was one of the suggestions I got. I'm like, hey, I can kind of rock that. So, yeah. That's how we came up with Lupus Creepus.
Well, with a name like Lupus Creepus, I have to ask you, then what makes a creepy story or a creepy ritual to you?
Oh, let's see. That one's kind of tough because I admit I'm a little picky sometimes. Let's see. My favorite types of rituals are always the ones that feel like they can be possible. It's not just your do these 5 random things and you'll get immortality forever, or, you'll die trying. I always like the ones that seem like, hey, these might actually be it. You have to do this step because you have to appease this spirit, or you have to do this step to, put power into it. Those are the ones that really, draw me in. Ones that, hey, this one might actually be something because of these aspects here.
Well, how did you get into this world of scary stories and creepy rituals?
Well, I've always liked horror, and I've always liked, the paranormal, the supernatural, and I always was a kind of creative person. But the problem was, with work and trying to keep up this and that, the daily grind, I haven't really been as creative as I wanted to be. But I ended up discovering creepypastas online, and I've spent so many nights just hours going by just reading these stories, and then I discovered that there were people on YouTube that would narrate these stories, and that got me kind of thinking to where, I may not be able to sit down and write something every night or do something like that, but you know what? I can crack down on myself. I can do something creative. I can maybe sit down and narrate a story once a week and then post it online. And so that's actually where the YouTube channel started, was me just narrating stories. But what always kind of drew me in were those ritual creepypastas, because I always was curious whether or not they would actually work. And I kind of got this random idea, hey, I'm always curious about it. Why not try it and maybe, record it? And then that's kind of where Will It Kill Me came from, and that's really just, it kind of blew up from there.
Well, one of the most watched videos for me is the Will It Kill Me series, and I believe you've pretty much performed over, I think it's 75 rituals so far online, and obviously none have killed you thus far. But do you believe that there is this one creepypasta or ritual out there that just may end your gaming life?
Well, I hope not, because I really enjoy living, but so far I haven't really been convinced that there's going to be one out there that's going to kill me yet. As you've said, I've done it. It doesn't feel like I've done over 75 of these. But if one of those haven't killed me yet, so I guess I'm starting to get a little bit cocky. But I guess it really just takes one. That's always kind of in the back of my mind as well. This one may work. If this one works, this might be it. Well, hopefully I can get on camera at least.
Right. The very first, I believe it's the very first Will It Kill Me, I think that you've recorded online on your channel, which is the Tomino's Hell Curse poem, which, from what I understand, it comes from Japan, and it, it seems that many of the creepy stories and legends in our experience, in Luci and I's experience, pretty much come from Asian countries. I mean, you've got all those movies and curses and rituals. They're just creeped out more than anything else. But I think the Japanese especially have this talent for creeping out, anybody of all ages. Do you feel that Japanese writing and Japanese films have this secret gift for creating this horror or creating this side of the creepiness that, the West just doesn't have? Or do you think that, the West and America can compete with the Japanese horror genre?
That's actually a really good question, because I've thought about that a lot previously, because, watching movies and especially playing video games, because a lot of the creepy games that I like come, originate in Japan, like, Silent Hill and Resident Evil. Those are, from Capcom, from, a Japanese company.
Right.
I've kind of thought about it a bit on that one, and I feel like Japan does have a really great gift for, the creepy, the scary, and I feel like it kind of comes from a lot of subtle things. They're very good at just kind of doing those little, small pieces of horror that build and build and build, and then eventually you get to this, terrifying monstrosity at the end. The West, to me, we're kind of different aspect of it is I feel like we're in your face horror. I'm the big bad guy. I am here. I'm going to come and kill you. Look at me. I'm going to now slice you up.
Right.
That's kind of generalizing. But it's really two different aspects of horror. And I personally like the build-up. I like the subtlety that I feel like kind of Japan kind of builds upon. I don't think there's anything wrong with the more in-your-face type, but it's not one that I prefer, but I definitely know that there's an audience for it. So I think we can compete just in a different way.
Yeah, I think what Japan has conquered, and I think what sort of the West has stopped doing, are those silent moments in movies. Back in the 60s and 70s, when I go back and watch them, they had that build-up, as you were just talking about. There was that, sort of slow, gradual move into something that was, you thought strange, you were trying to think what the heck is going on, and then all of a sudden it hits you, whereas now in, the 20th and 21st century movies, the horror films, it's right off the bat within the first 5 minutes almost. So I think I get what you're saying, and I totally agree with you. And I think the film industry and Hollywood needs to, and the gaming industry also needs to get into that a little bit more. Yeah,
I agree.
Well, how do you find the will it kill me rituals? How do you go about finding them and making them eligible to actually, work out and fit onto your YouTube channel?
There's a couple of different sources that I use. Probably one of the biggest sources is the Creepypasta wiki. They have a section that's devoted to just the ritual type, and I'll spend the time just going through that, picking out rituals that I think kind of fit with the theme that are also doable too. There's a lot where it's like, go to this particular place off in this far off country. I'm like, I can't quite do that one yet. I don't have the funds for that one. But this one here in my bathroom, I think I could do that one instead. And surprisingly, there's a website, scaryforkids.com, which is not for kids, because that site is terrifying, even to me, that has a lot of, ghost games, urban legends that you can, work with from there. And also, I've had viewers submit comments that, will give suggestions for Will It Kill Me videos. And I really try to go for the ones that I guess seem plausible to me, in a sense. I know it's kind of audio because they all, I haven't quite, become a believer of these guys yet, but I try to pick ones like, hey, this one might work.
Okay.
And then go from there. There's also, the big factor, though, is whether or not I can do it, because I have a couple that are really, I've got a lot of suggestions on. One of the big ones is the staircase game. The problem with that one is it requires you spending 12 hours on a staircase, and right. I don't think I can quite do that.
Well, you know what? From your videos, I can tell that you take those rituals seriously, and you perform them exactly how they should be. So if they were to work for real, if something were to happen to you. Now, is there something that you do to protect yourself before you do the ritual, or would that just defeat the purpose of doing it?
To be honest, I don't have any kind of protection or anything. I just jump right into it and go from there. If there's anything that the ritual specifically says to do that might make it safer, make it easier, I'll try to do those. But as far as anything extra on top of that, usually I just go right into it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, you know what? We've noticed that many people in YouTube land, as well as in all sorts of media outlets, they've got this huge fascination with darkness and evil and almost demonic nature stuff. And personally, I think that some people are watching you perform these rituals. They're hoping that you die so that they can truly experience something horrible. But do you think that there is a morbid sense of reality that people are attracted to, and they just want to have fun, or do you think people really get off by watching others get harmed or even die from things on camera?
I probably might lean a little more pessimistic on this one, but there's a reason why a lot of the videos on YouTube, like, Ghost Attack, Demon Attack, those ones are popular. Because people, they want to see the action. I think, generally, I don't think they want to see anybody actually get really hurt or die. But I do think that sense of danger is what draws us in. We want to see that dangerous side. We want to see the ghost attack. We want to see the demon attack. But hopefully nobody gets hurt in it. But I do think that people kind of get drawn in from that.
Well, has there been a creepypasta ritual or other type of ritual that you came across in your research that you just refused to do and would never perform because it was just too creepy or it seemed dangerous?
A specific one, no, but there are some that I've drawn the line. Because there's some ones where I've read where it's like, you need to, sacrifice an animal or something like that. I'm like, no, I will never do anything like that.
I hope not.
I've actually had somebody ask me once, would you sacrifice a human being? I'm like, no, because that is murder. Well, what if they volunteered? No, I will not sacrifice a human being or an animal or anything like that. So nothing specific, but there are aspects of things I will draw the line.
Well, Luci and I have done a few of the so-called rituals out there online, and they seem to us, just to be sort of like manipulated old legends or sort of like tweaked harmless rituals to be made into scary acts. It's sort of been built upon to make them a little bit more scary. And sometimes we found that they've done actually for movie promotions, like that Charlie game. It was set up basically for a movie promotion and for their marketing for the gallows. But people thought it was real. Do you believe that they are real, that there are some sort of creepypasta or some sort of ritual out there that is real, or just more of an interactive story, a scary story that sort of helps put the reader into the scene by creating that horror aspect to it?
To be honest, I lean towards the second one. I think most of these are just a different way of telling the story. It's exactly what you said. It's a way of kind of drawing the reader in and putting yourself in the place. Because when you read the story of if you stay up late till midnight and then turn off the lights and then draw a circle, you're kind of picturing yourself in this story, picturing yourself experiencing this thing, and it makes it even more, at least to me, creepy. And I think that's one reason that kind of drew me to the rituals, because I can kind of picture myself, in my mind, actually doing these, or, in reality actually doing them. I know that there are a lot of these sort of rituals, these myths that have been passed on way before, the internet or everything from there. I guess I try to be open. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there is something that's been kind of buried amongst all these other stories and everything that might actually be true. And I suppose that would be a great place to hide it because, nobody will think to look for it in the midst of all these other fake rituals.
Right.
But I do think that most of it.
On the website, scary stories for kids,
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned this earlier.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. You mentioned this earlier that your fans usually are starting to suggest, sort of will it kill me rituals. What are they giving you? What are they sending you? What kind of rituals or creepypastas or interactions are they looking for?
I've gotten a whole bunch of different ones. A few of the biggest ones that have been suggested to me, one is a staircase game. Like I said, I won't be able to spend 12 hours on the stairway. Another of the biggest suggestions that I got, and this one I would do, but I would have to legally do it, and that makes it a little harder, but there's one that is the devil game, which is essentially the story is that if you go into a church at night, you can, summon the devil in a mirror, and you can play a sort of, I kind of equate it to Truth or Dare, with him, you know, he can ask you, he asks you a question. If you get it right, you can get something. If you get it wrong, then things happen. That one's been a really popular one that I've gotten sent to me. And then there's also variations that I think other people have made that they'd like me to see. I have a lot of the go into the bathroom, clear out the lights, look in the mirror, you know, say so-and-so name, like, you know, kind of like Bloody Mary.
Right.
There was one that I liked that I got emailed to me that was how to tell if you're a good person or not, that I was interested in. Essentially, that one is a way of summoning the spirit that's been watching you, and if you're a good person, it's like, hey, you're cool. If you're not a good person, this thing is like, I don't like you, and because you did this ritual, I can now interact with you. So if I don't like you, I'm going to probably hurt or kill you.
So, sort of like a report card, I guess, no?
Yeah, I guess. If you get an F, you're dead. So.
You're dead.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I've noticed that you wear a lot of Wolfman T-shirts in your videos, and I know you've said that's your favorite horror character. So what is it about the wolf that you like?
You know, they got this pushing quite a bit, and I've actually never really had a straight-up answer for it. I just really like wolves, and I really like werewolves. At least as far as I go back, I just remember waking up one day and just thinking werewolves were really cool. I remember even when I was a little kid, I was terrified of everything. I was scared of everything. I think I cried on about half of the rides when I went to Disneyland. I was just terrified of all this stuff. And I remember watching werewolf movies and being scared that the wolfman was going to come and get me. But I just remember just waking up one day and being like, werewolves are awesome. I like them. Werewolves are pretty cool. And, wolves as well. So I suppose it just kind of happened and then probably snowballed from there.
Well, you just said that growing up you were scared of everything. Has doing these rituals helped you overcome your fears?
Yes, I would definitely say so. Because I admit I could be a little scaredy cat about certain things. I'll admit it right now. When I'm sitting here doing these things and I'm sitting in the dark and I look scared, it's because I am scared. I don't know what's in the darkness. I don't know what's there. Maybe this one actually worked and this thing's going to come and kill me. But, doing more and more of these, I'm starting to kind of, see, there's really, at least after doing these guys, I can't say for anything else, but that there really is nothing in the dark there. There's no boogeyman yet, at least that's ready to come and kill me. And kind of segueing from that, I've also heard that from a lot of my fans that watch the videos, because I always get worried that, people are going to watch and they're going to say, oh, nothing happened. Again, he hasn't died, nothing came out. But a lot of my fans like that. They like seeing that because they want to see that realism. And I've got a few comments saying thank you for putting out these videos because you put down these videos that helped alleviate my fears about things. I think one of the most recent ones I had was there was a viewer who watched my videos and was terrified to go down in their basement because they thought something was down there. But after kind of watching these, and I guess get a little more confident that, hey, maybe a lot of these scary stories aren't real, they actually be able to start, overcoming that fear and going down in the dark basement.
Well, you know what? Speaking of horror movies, I have to know, what's your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh, there are so many, and there's so many good ones. So I think it's not a Japanese one, but the one that I kind of lean to is a movie called Dog Soldiers. It's a werewolf movie that essentially puts this military team up against a pack of werewolves, and I really like the way it's done because I know in a lot of these movies when like the cops come in or the military comes in, they just get wiped out. And I feel like actually a lot of movies really don't portray them accurately. They kind of portray them as just this kind of bumbly, we don't know what we're doing. Oh, the monster got us. This team goes in there and they have pretty much nothing towards the end. But even they're strategizing, they're kind of bunkering down in this house, prepared for this siege. And a lot of them, even though they may end up dying, a lot of them go out, fighting. I remember this one scene where there was a guy who gets snuck up behind, and he does the classic, the monster breathe down the back of his neck, and he just goes, "Oh, God, you're right behind me, aren't you? All right, let's do this." And he turns, and he's about ready to fist fight this guy. Of course he dies, but I'm like, you know what? You went down fighting, and that's kind of why I like that movie.
Well, you're not just the guy that performs rituals, as we've been talking. You also write and narrate stories, personally and online. And you are a great writer. Luci and I really like the story about the Shadow Girl. Do you prefer to write stories and narrate them online, or would you actually get into authoring books?
I love writing. That's kind of where my creativity first came from. I was writing short little stories ever since I was a young kid. And I would love to actually sit down and write a full-length book. Just I haven't been able to really do it yet because I haven't just gotten that big, long, developed idea. I've gotten plenty of ideas for short little stories, but I haven't made that jump to a bigger team one. But no, I would love to actually sit down and write something bigger in it.
Would it be something along the lines of the Creepypasta rituals that you've been doing, or would you get into sort of more of like the vampire, werewolf type of stories? Oh, I think we lost him. I just have to say, we've been having a lot of electronic problems tonight. I noticed, Luci, you dropped your call.
Yeah.
My camera went off for about 5 minutes, and it finally came back on, and now we've lost Lupus. So hopefully we'll get him on.
Dialing him right now.
Yeah, let's see if we can get him on.
So sorry about that.
No, I'm not even sure if it's your issue or our issue, because I was just saying we've been having electrical problems or electronic problems all night long.
Well, I do know that sometimes my phone company doesn't like the house that I live in, so it might also be on my end.
Okay.
Maybe one of the rituals really worked.
Yeah, that's true. They just decided they want to mess with my phone.
So I'm
not
not
going to
sure
kill
if
him, but we're going to make sure he can't call anyone.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure if you heard my last question, but it was along the lines of, if you're thinking about authoring a book, would it be along the lines of the Creepypasta rituals, or would it be sort of, the vampire, werewolf, genre?
Well, I have a few different ideas on there, and I as much as I love horror, and I love kind of creating the Creepypasta stories and all that, but I'm also a huge fan of this classic action adventure. One of my idols is Indiana Jones, and I have a couple ideas for that sort of story.
That's
but
pretty cool.
One of the big ideas that I was kind of working with, and I haven't actually done anything with it yet, but if I was going to do anything, I'm almost going to do it as a kind of almost like a film series, like a TV show or something like that. But it was actually going to be a comedy that was centered around the big setup is the paranormal is out there. It's out. People know about it now, and nobody cares anymore. Vampires, werewolves, all that, they're out in the world. And the story would center on a vampire and a werewolf set of roommates that are essentially just trying to just make it through life, just kind of slice of life with this additional kind of paranormal setup on top of it. And kind of set it up or as a comedy rather than actually something scary. And I had a few different ideas there, the werewolf was gonna have a sister who was a member of PETA. And
I like that one.
And a few different sort of things from there. And that, I think if I was gonna do anything, that's the idea I kind of want to roll with.
It's almost like
cool.
the supernatural odd couple.
Essentially, yeah.
Well, Lupus, you have a really good following on your YouTube channel, and I would sort of dare to say that you've got the creepster fansters out there. that are loyal to your channel. But as we all know, we don't live on YouTube. We sort of just copy our show and just throw it on YouTube there for folks to watch or to listen. But as we all know, people on YouTube can be cruel sometimes, and with their comments and such. Have you ever sort of encountered negative feedback, or maybe have had sort of out of hand fans that have just gone a little too crazy that may have actually scared you?
Thankfully, not to the point where it's gotten to like a scary portion. I have gotten a lot of, I don't want to say a lot, but I have gotten a decent amount of negativity. A lot of people that complain, no, nothing ever works on his stuff, nothing ever doesn't catch anything. I think the oddest one is my first Ouija board video, where absolutely nothing happens in it. Nothing happens in this video. But I've gotten so many comments that are like, fake, this is all fake. And I'm like, well, nothing happened in it. So, I mean, unless you're assuming that we faked nothing happening, nothing's happened.
You'd actually fake it to go the opposite direction.
Yeah, it was too intense for people, so we faked it so that that nothing happened. We can't let anybody know about the truth there. I think kind of the scariest stuff that's probably happened actually involved Brittany, who is, I guess, essentially my Will It Kill Me co-host. She appears in a number of Will It Kill Me episodes. I know she had a fan once that just went out of her way to just say how much she hated her. She contacted on she commented on all the videos that we posted that she was in. She commented on our Tumblr, our Twitter, our Facebook. I think actually even finding me on Skype once and was like, hey, I really enjoy your videos, but that Brittany girl needs to go.
Wow.
Oh, my God.
Recently, there was someone who actually tracked down another crew member's mother and got in contact with her in order to try to get in contact with Brittany as well. That's the point where it gets kind of scary, where a lot of fans are tracking down people's mothers and other stuff on Facebook and everything and trying to get in touch. That's why I don't really care too much for that. Like we have our our Facebook or Twitter. We have YouTube. I check the YouTube comments and messages and everything. So I don't really see any reason that you need to contact a member of my crew's mother in order to, I guess, get a message across.
Yeah, that's going too far.
That's stalker territory. That's not good.
Yeah. The thing was that's about the only two instances we've had of people kind of going, overstepping the boundaries.
Wow. Well, you know what? I did want to mention, okay, you're a gamer. I'm a gamer too. And, I immediately thought of there's an old series of games that I love that comes from Japan. And it's the Shin Mega Tensei series. I don't know if you're familiar with it.
Oh, yeah. Shin Megami Tensei.
Yeah.
I haven't played a lot of them, but I played a few, but the ones that I played were very good.
Well, in particular, I like Nocturne and Devil Summoner. And the series, it's so full of, creepypasta, and it's pretty amazing. So what do you think of creepypasta games, and do you have any favorites?
Well, I like them. I play them on my channel and everything. I think probably one of the first ones, I guess, that kind of was started out as a creepypasta that shifted to a game. I think it was, I would probably consider Slender. And Slender was good. Yeah. But no, I really enjoy those types of games, and I like to see what people kind of do with them. I know some kind of feel a little lackluster, I guess I would say. I know there's about 200 Slender clones basically out there. Find this or the monster gets you. But there's been a few games based on creepypasta that I actually really enjoyed. And then there's a few games that I've played that would really be good for, creepypasta fuel. A lot of the RPGs, like the Shin Megami Tensei, have just these great little myths and legends that really could form a good story with that. But yeah, I like them. But again, I like anything that's creepy. So if you throw like a horror game at me, I'll probably really enjoy it.
Well, and in addition to that, you've investigated. You do paranormal investigating, and you investigated a haunted location a couple years back, the Washoe Club. So, are you interested in investigating haunted locations, and are you looking to film at more locations?
Oh yeah, it's definitely something I'm interested in. The Washoe Club and just overall filming in Virginia City was a great experience. I really enjoyed it, and I would love to do more of those. It's just finding these particular locations that are not only close to me right now, but accessible has been, a little difficult. But we're starting to uncover more and more. I think one of the biggest ones, and I only found out about this about a week ago, and I'm really surprised. I feel like I'm the last person to know about it, but probably about an hour's drive from where I live, there's a place called the Gates of Hell, where the myth is that there was a mental asylum on the other side of these iron gates, and then that a lot of patients died at, and that there was a slaughterhouse where a man was murdered by a woman, and there's so many things that are supposedly out there. So I would love to go to more locations like that. And for the next season of Will It Kill Me, I want to try to do more locations. I have at least a couple in mind. I'm hoping to get some more, but that is kind of a realm I would love to break into.
Well, what is Lupus Creepus like to do when you're not on YouTube, when you're not writing short stories? What do you like to do as far as, just relaxing or enjoying time? This is probably going to sound really cliche and all that, but I really just enjoy just hanging out with my friends here. I got a few roommates that, we'll just, sit down, chill down in the living room, play some video games together. I like playing board games and things like that. We also enjoy tabletop games, too, so we do a lot of games and the like that. I recently got into LARPing, so I do that, probably about once a month or so. Really just kind of simple, non-creepy stuff. Just normal stuff. You're a normal guy. That's it.
Yeah.
We actually haven't asked you the most obvious question, being that you are on Paranormal Review Radio. Do you believe in spirits and ghosts and in the afterlife?
I'm open to the possibility, but I guess I would really still consider myself a skeptic. I haven't seen the proof firsthand to me. I haven't had my oh my gosh moment. I just saw a ghost. I can't explain this. I've had a few weird things, but stuff I can kind of, I guess disbelieve here and there. But I try to be open to the possibility that there's more out there. And as far as the afterlife, I'm not particularly sure what might be there, but I think something has to be there. There's something, after we die. I don't know what it is, but I don't think that death is quite the end of the journey.
And nothing ever happened, or nothing you experienced when you were actually at the Washoe Club that made you think, maybe something?
We had a couple interesting things, but nothing that I could 100% go, I cannot fully explain this. I have no, I don't have any ammo against this. But there were a couple things that, made me question. I know one of the big ones off the top of my head was one of our guys was doing an isolation session, and he was in one of the rooms, and I was a few rooms back, just kind of as a backup in case anything happened. And I hear this loud thud, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, oh gosh, he just dropped one of the pieces of equipment. Oh, I hope it didn't break. That's my first thing goes through my head, because he had like a video recorder, the temperature, the thermometer, an EMP detector, and all, or EVP, and he had all that stuff and the camera and everything. And I'm like, oh God, please don't drop any of this stuff. I had to pay for that. And then we come on back after he's done, and the rest of the crew goes, hey, did you hear that sound? And I'm not ready to go, oh, yeah, he just dropped. He goes, I didn't drop anything. I look, I'm like, no, you dropped something. No, I didn't drop anything. What? So then I look back at the tape, and it doesn't drop anything. No, it just thud. So, like, there's instances like that, but, I mean, I guess it could still go either way. It could have been something supernatural, but, I mean, it could have been something else. I know that, I think there actually were some bats in there, too. So, I mean, it could have been one of the bats that might have thudded into something, or it's stuff that I could still kind of explain away. Weird, but nothing that I can't 100% go, I can't explain this. So until I kind of hit that encounter, I'm still remaining a little skeptical on it.
Well, you know, it's good to be a healthy skeptic. I mean, it keeps you grounded, and you don't start to go off on tangents like many other people do that think that everything is paranormal, and that, you know, that's the only explanation for things. So, I think what you're doing is healthy, and it's normal, and it's what everybody actually should do. But you know, you I know you love werewolves, and I'm assuming you think that there are real werewolves out there. So, how far does your belief go in the paranormal? I mean, do you believe in UFOs and aliens? Do you believe in Bigfoot, or do you not have an opinion on any of that? There
are some things that I guess are more believable to me than others. To be honest, I think that there are aliens out there, just because the universe is so huge. It's just It doesn't seem likely that we're the only form of life out there. Now, I'm not sure if those other beings are, you know, flying over here and abducting us or anything like that, but I don't think that we're the only one. As far as, like, you know, creatures like Bigfoot or anything like that go, there's still a lot of undiscovered territory out there. I mean, to me, like, something like Bigfoot is just another undiscovered animal. So if he's out there, he's just another creature, just like a bear or like a wolf, like a fox, anything like that. Just there's not many of them, and he's really good at hiding. So, I mean, I believe in certain things like this. A lot more like the creatures. Although I could see myself going, yeah, that's possible. They could be out there, just not discovered yet. But beyond that, that's when I start kind of pulling back. Going, okay, I'm not too sure about ghosts or anything yet because I haven't seen anything around it yet, or, you know, demons or anything like that. But stuff that might kind of be grounded a little bit more reality, I'm a little more open to.
So what is it going to take to convince you that there is such a thing as a ghost?
Well, it would probably take a rather big sort of thing. Like, if I wake up one day and I see someone standing over my bed that disappears, first off, I'm going to scream, and I'm going to wake up the rest of my room, my household, and then I'll be a believer. Or if I see, you know, my objects in the room start flying across or anything like that, then I'll be like, okay, you got me. I'm on board now. I'm on board. See, people don't know, though, is that I'm not as brave as a lot of people think I am that doing these rituals and all that. If one of these work and that ghost pops out and says boo, I'm going to be like, nope, I'm out. There's a ghost in there. I always tell my roommates, if I wake up and there's a ghost in my room, I'm not sleeping in that room again. I'm not. I'm going to sleep on the couch. That's my room now. Like, why don't you go to bed? No, there's a ghost in there. Nope.
Well, you know, you actually hide it very well. You know, you don't seem as though you're afraid or scared when I'm watching the videos. You know, it seems so, you know, nonchalant, like you're, you know, okay, this is just another night and I'm filming.
I guess I am pretty decent at doing it, but there's one, and God, I wish I had a night vision camera at this time because I would have posted it. But I've told the story a couple times on Q&As and all that, but the hosting game, that's one where the first one I did completely on my own because it requires you got to be alone in the house, and it's where you're essentially lighting matches in front of this empty room behind you that's supposed to have all these ghosts and everything in it, and if you turn around, it says, well, it doesn't say what happens, but I'm assuming that they get you and do something. So I'm doing it in my friend's house, and imagine just everything's dark. You're getting into the mood of this creepy ritual. I got my matches. I'm starting to strike them. I'm doing the ritual, but I didn't realize that I was doing it in front of their bathroom. That right in front of the bathroom, above where I'm striking matches, is the fire alarm, smoke alarm. So imagine everything's dark, everything's quiet. I'm striking my matches in the dark, and suddenly, I have never run so fast to the front door ever. I blinked and I was at the front door, and then I realized, oh God, it was the fire alarm. It was the smoke alarm. I just set up a smoke alarm. But I didn't have night vision at the time, so I have it recorded, but you can't see anything because it's pitch black.
Right.
But yeah, that's more accurate about what would happen if a ghost came out. That if someone came out and seriously the stereotypical just who, I would be out that front door going bye. Nope.
I remember that video. That was actually fun to watch.
Good.
Well, like I said, these videos, they're actually really fun to watch, and it really looks like you and your friends, you're having a good time while you're filming. So where would you like to take this series? Do you have any new ideas in the horror aspect?
For specifically Will It Kill Me, I would love to actually check out more haunted locations. I'd love to be able to go to places and investigate these areas. Also, there's a few rituals that I mentioned earlier where they take place at a specific area somewhere, in the world. I'd love to actually try out, be like, all right, well, we're in, the UK, and it says if you go to this one pub, I think there is one with a German pub. If you go to a specific one at a specific time, this ghost will come and you can have a drink with this ghost. I love to do more of those where it's a specific spot. So I guess a mixture of both of those would be really amazing to me.
Do you want to do anything with the writing? I mean, possibly do a film or anything like that?
Yeah. As I mentioned, I would really, if I was to take anything right now, I really want to try to get that werewolf-vampire odd couple, do something with that. I see that more as just kind of either a YouTube series or, by some miracle, a television series. But I did actually go to school for film, so be able to get on and actually make movies, especially if I ended up actually writing something and filming that would be also incredibly amazing. And one of these days, I really do just want to sit down and actually fully write out a book and try to get a book published, because I just think that would be the coolest thing ever, to just walk into a bookstore and be like, that's my book right there, that's my name.
Well, Lupus, you know what? It's been so much fun learning about you and your awesome channel on YouTube. And we know that you just wrapped up Season 5 of your series. So is there anything you can let your viewers know on what to expect for the next season, and when does it start?
Okay, well, we are already starting to get our idea. We're already starting to compile ideas. We did a viewer suggestion video for Will It Kill Me, and I think actually Brittany went through and started compiling a whole bunch of pieces from there. I do have at least 2 locations that I want to check out that supposedly have haunted activity. One is the Gates of Hell, so look forward to that one. In fact, that's probably one we're going to start the season off with. And there's also a couple of the smaller ones, too, just to kind of give an example, ones that I know we're going to be doing this season. There's one that involves feeding a little gnome that supposedly if you put a chocolate bar down and you do a certain thing, turn the lights on, there's a bite taken out of it. And we have a few other ones from there, and I know everybody wants me to do the devil game, and I will 100% do the devil game if I can get a church that allows me to do it, because I will. Right. I don't really feel like trespassing on holy ground and getting arrested. But if there's a church that will let me do it, I will be down.
you know what was funny was when you did the Crossroads game, and you and I believe Brittany were out there, and then the cops came by.
Yeah, that was. I think that was like one of our. That was early on too. That was like one of our like third or fourth videos. I'm just getting into this, and there was no good crossroad out, kind of where we wanted one that was a little secluded so we could get out and film. And this one was kind of secluded, but there was kind of neighborhood not too far off. And I guess there's a couple of things about that one. Is one, a couple of the people that were with me actually felt a chill once we did the cone thing. Actually felt like the air grew cold, so they felt something. And I guess technically it's one of the few that really, I mean, it did work because a stranger did approach me, and they told me my fortune. And the fortune was, if you do stuff like this, the cops are going to come. So I guess technically that one was accurate. But they were very nice. So we told them what we were doing, and they're just like, oh, okay, no problem. You might want to wrap it up. I'm like, okay, let me just do my outro here, and then we'll be happy to leave, officer. Please don't arrest us.
Oh, you know what, Lupus? Thank you so much for coming on the show. And let everyone know where they can go on YouTube and any other social media sites that they can start following you and learn more about your adventures.
Awesome. Lupus Creepus on YouTube. I have a Twitter as well. Facebook is probably the most updated. There's Lupus Creepus on Facebook. Lupus Creepus blog on Tumblr. And that's really it, at least, so far.
Well, great. Thank you so much, Lupus, for coming on. It was amazing. And it's actually an honor to actually talk to you. I've watched you for a long time now. I may not have all the time in the world to actually watch all your videos, but when I do get a chance, I usually click on them, and I'll watch a few at a time. And one night I'll do like a marathon run to catch up. But you do great work. You and your friends are really great and awesome. Oh, there was one, I think it was for, this is what I wanted to ask him. I think it was the season 5 finale. This is the one that you had your dad on, right?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There was, and I forget his name, your friend there, when you guys were doing the Ouija board, he had...
Same, yeah.
Yeah, something came over him, and he started to get hot and dizzy or something like that. What happened there?
Okay, that was something where, to be honest, when it first happened, we like to joke with theme, and I really get a kick out of scary theme. If you ever get a chance, take a look at the tabletop video we did for Dread. Yeah, that was just about like an hour of me just finding ways to scare Sam. So I thought that he was finding a way to get me back because he kind of it got really weird. I know for people who haven't seen the videos, he had his head down, and I'm looking straight at him, and he has his head down, and there's this one arm up, and it looked really creepy. And I guess supposedly Seam said that, he offered his energy to it, to the, I guess, whatever was moving the planchette around. And that's, like I said, because according to him, it seemed like it kind of drained him a bit. And he ended up fainting, feeling hot and fainting. Of course, some of us are thinking, well, we had a lot of people in the household. It was kind of hot. With him and his arm up, maybe he just, it just kind of got to him, and he just fainted for a second. Which still isn't very good, but I don't know if there was anything supernatural there. But the one thing that always kind of weirded me out for it was, right before he faints, I look at him dead in the eye. I'm not talking to whatever's on the board. I'm looking at him. I'm going, Seam, are you okay? Because he just looks out of it. And then the planchette just moves over to no. It just beelines right to no. That weirded me out, and then he faints. And I don't know what it was there. I don't know whether he just, it was just a hot house and it just got to him, or if it was something else. But I can tell you, it did weird me out. It's one of those weird things where it could be something, it could not be, but it was still weird regardless. Yeah,
it weirded me out too when I was watching it, and I thought, all right, maybe he's joking. Maybe I don't know if he was maybe he was playing it up for the camera, or maybe he was doing something to you. But then, after a few minutes, and he still, so he took off a sweatshirt and he was sweating, and he really looked like, he was going to, go out, black out there for a while. It just got me thinking, what the heck was going on at that moment?
Yeah, that was one of the first times we really had something like that happen during a Ouija board session. And you probably, if you look at my face on there, I'm like, what? Are you okay?
Yeah,
is this a joke? Is this a joke? Tell me, because this is weird. This is weird for me. This hasn't happened before. I don't know how to handle this yet. But yeah,
I was looking at your face, and I'm thinking, is he going to say something? Because you were actually staring at him for a little bit there, and just wondering. It looked like you were just wondering what the hell is going on, and then you finally spoke and was talking. Like, are you for real? Are you for real?
Yeah, because my first instinct was, you're joking with me. You're going to get me back. You're trying to get me back for all those times I've scared you. And, I deserve it. I'm fine. If you want to give it back, I know I deserve this. But then he's like, I saw him, he's taking off his, sweatshirt. He's looking really woozy. I'm going, did you just get possessed? Did I just possess you? Because I'm not qualified for this. I don't know what to do if something actually happened.
Right.
So yeah,
well, that was amazing, and it's stuff like that you're able to catch on your videos. Even if nothing happens, it's really good to watch somebody actually going through the ritual and just seeing if they see anything, if they catch anything. Oh, you know what? Actually, I'm sorry. That's another question I wanted to ask you. As people are watching your videos, and you may say that nothing has happened because the end result didn't happen what was actually supposed to be in that creepypasta or that ritual. But has any of your viewers who are watching your videos ever followed up and said, I think I saw something in the back of you, or something that was in the room and it looked like it was something floating? Or has anybody ever, wrote back or commented back to you about anything like that?
Yeah, we've actually had a couple people that have mentioned, put comments in there being like, hey, at this time this thing happened. One of the most notable things that comes to mind is we did the midnight game, and there was a few times where this shadow that kind of walks behind. They were like, hey, there's a shadow behind you. And at first we're kind of like, oh yeah, we think that's Keegan back with the camera. But I'm looking back and thinking about it, I'm like, he didn't really walk around. He was kind of sitting there stationary. And there was a couple other ones where people said that they heard, I think during hide and seek alone, people heard a giggle or something along those lines. There's been a few where I've gone back and I'm like, I kind of hear a giggle. Or there's also other ones where I'm like, I don't see what you're talking about.
Right.
But yeah, we've had people point out interesting stuff to us. So I guess, if we don't end up seeing anything, a lot of times our viewers might actually catch something. Be like, hey, there's something there.
And that's what's amazing about YouTube and watching videos like yours. So, if you guys out there are listening, check out Lupus Creepus on YouTube. We're going to actually post all of your links on our Facebook page. So if anybody didn't catch it while we were talking about it, we'll post it on our Facebook page and let you guys in on it. Thank you so much, Lupus, for coming on the show and sharing all your stories with us. We wish you the best of luck, and we hope you don't die on your next one.
I hope not either, but I'm sure it will be very entertaining to the viewers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Good night.
Take care.
Good night.
He really is. He the videos that he puts on, obviously all of them or none of them actually killed him. So he's actually alive still. But it's fun to watch, and it's fun to see him go through the ritual. It's kind of interesting to hear about these rituals that he does, because half of them, or more than half of them, I've never even heard of before. I'm not particularly one to actually go online and research rituals like that or creepypastas, but it's interesting. And he does each season, like we were just talking about, he just wrapped up season 5. Each season he does this big season finale, and there was, I don't know if it was, I think the last one, season 4, was on Halloween. And it's almost like it's an event. It's a party, and it's live on YouTube that you can actually watch it and check it out. He does a few things during those finales, the Ouija board, some rituals, so on and so forth. But Lupus is a really cool guy, and he's real. He's not the phony ones that you see out there that are hamming it up for the camera. The videos that he does are real, and the reactions that his friends have are real. They're just a really great group of guys and gals that are really interesting and want me, or it sort of wants me to actually watch more of them.
Well, yeah, I hadn't heard about him until you brought him up, and I did the marathon. I started watching as many as I could. And the thing is about these videos, they're fun. They look like they're having fun. It's not this whole big serious, we're going to go in and we're going to find demons. No, he does the ritual, and he's pretty thorough, like he'll explain exactly what he's doing and setting it up. And that, to me, part of it is that's cool. But then when he actually gets into it, you're like, okay, what is he doing? And you want to see something. I mean, I don't want him to expire on film, but there's this little part in the back of your head.
Expire.
But there's, you're thinking, you're like, okay, is something really going to happen? And he mentioned that hosting game, and I swear that there is like shadows in that video. I mean, watching it, it just looked like there was something. And then again, too, it could be anything. It could be lighting, could be something. But when you're watching it, it's almost like you're expecting, you want to see something happen. And, okay, is this it? Is it really going to happen? Is he really bringing something forward? So I think they're fun, and I'm really impressed with him.
He says that, once he talks about the creepypastas or the rituals that he's about to do, he, I guess it's within the research that he does, or if it's the people that contact him, but he has told, true stories from witnesses that have performed, most of these rituals, that have said that things have gone wrong, that there's been, not so much to the point of where somebody's actually died, because obviously they wouldn't be telling the story then, but some creepy things have happened. Bad luck as a result of it usually tends to happen afterwards. A lot of folks have said that's what happens when they do these rituals. So he gives that forewarning. He tells people that that this is not something to be taken lightly, actually. But it's fun. It's fun to watch him do it.
But, see, that's one thing I've always wondered, though, is like, why do people do this? I mean, why? You're sitting around at a party and all of a sudden everybody says, oh, let's do this. I mean, why? Why would you do this? Like the Charlie thing. Okay, if you do this, then Charlie's going to appear. Well, I don't really have the need to speak with a demon, but that's the one thing that goes in the back of my mind. Why do people do these things? Is it for the thrill?
Why do people go to horror movies? Why do people watch scary movies?
To be
almost
scared.
The same concept. It's the same concept. Yeah. They want excitement. People want to have that excitement, and obviously there's an audience for it. People watching, and they may not want to actually see somebody die, as we were just talking before about it. But to me, I think they just want to see. It's the unknown, and so if by the end of this video will something happen, or will Lupus Creepus come back on the next week or the next day and video something and say, holy crap, after we ended it, this happened, and that happened. And they want to be there to be the person to tell their friends, yeah, I was watching that video and this happened. They want to be that first person to be telling that story to their own friends whatever it is that they just watched. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I mean, obviously, it's not something that I'm interested in doing all the time. We've done a few of them. You know, I guess you can. I guess you consider, you know, when we go into haunted locations, some of the things that we do could be considered as rituals, but it's not the rituals that you think of as you're talking about legends or ancestral stuff. But you can label what we do sort of ritualistic in nature. By the way that we talk, right?
Yeah. I guess you could say that. I mean, I don't think of it that way. I just think of it as communication. But, you know, it's kind of weird because, like, he did mention, like, a lot of these come from, like, the Japanese culture. And that's the one thing I do love. I love Asian horror movies. I really do. Because they're not, like, as he said, they're not in your face. They kind of give you the anticipation of something to happen. And they can really make you look over your shoulder without really throwing everything in your face. And I really think that's brilliant. I love watching them. If I have a choice between watching the Asian horror movies and watching the American one, if there's two versions, I'm going to watch the Asian one first. I'm definitely going to watch that one. The whole, you know, we talked about with Elisa Lam that it is similar to the movie Dark Water. Well, the original Asian version of Dark Water is so scary compared to the American version. There's a scene in the Japanese one where it takes place in an elevator, and you see this ghost, but you don't see the whole ghost. You just see the feet, and the feet are up in the air, and all you see is the bottom part. And to me, that was creepier than seeing the full ghost head on. I mean, it's just, they're amazing. They're really, really cool. And some of them just get like so weird and so out of the way. I mean, there's another one called Auditions, and that one is creepy. Dumplings is good. I mean, I've got a list of all of these Asian horror movies that I really, really enjoy.
And I think it's, you know, for most of it, again, it's almost the unknown. It's the unseen. You know, this is such a bad metaphor, but I'll say it anyway. I don't even know how I'm going to say this, but I'll say this anyway. For men, and I'm going to speak only on behalf of men, because I am a man. For men, seeing a full nude woman is less intense than seeing a woman in some sexy lingerie. You know, it's the, or even if like we got a sort of selfie, but it was, you know, cropped to the midsection, and you know, there's still the underwear or the lingerie on. It's the unknown. It's the how our creative mind then can finish that story, to make that story, visualize it in any way that we can. That's more intriguing. I mean, I don't know if all guys think that way, but I do. It's really, to me, that's sexier than a full nude woman.
The mystery.
It's the mystery. And so it's kind of odd and morbid that I'm actually comparing this to horror films, but you get it. I'm sure you guys get it out there, what I'm going at. When you're watching a horror movie, it's the lead up. It's the those shots that you just talked about, you know, just seeing the feet raised off the ground, that's creepy. The silent moments in movies where, you know, there's no... like, you know, no stupid, crazy porno music in the background that's playing in these horror movies. It's actual silence, and you can hear the person or the victim breathing, or, you know, the water dripping to the ground on the cement floor, and having that, and then something leading up to something else. That's what is creepy. That's what's scary. And I equate that to, you know, a lot of the 60s and 70s horror movies, even earlier than that, too. I even love the silent horror movies from the 20s and 30s. You know, they do have the cheesy kind of music to it, but there's no talking. But watching the visuals of like Nosferatu, to me, is creepy. And still to this day, after, almost 100 years, Nosferatu is one of the creepiest horror films ever. And it's because there is none of that jump scare. There is none of that stuff. And so to me, that's what I love about horror, and I get that in a lot of Japanese films. You do get that a lot more. You do get a lot in Japanese, but you also get it in a lot of German films as well, I've seen. And so it seems as though the European and the Asian continents really know how to put on a horror film, as opposed to the West, where it's sort of like instant gratification, where, after the first 5, 10, 15 minutes, there's somebody killed. To me, you've lost me at that point, and I'll change the channel.
Well, you know what? It's almost like in my head, I can almost pinpoint it back to The Exorcist. Here's the movie that all of a sudden you see her possessed, and she's spitting up green vomit and all that stuff. That's, to me, is where movies all of a sudden started putting everything in your face. And then all of a sudden, all the movies after that, they kind of change. It's like, oh God, I can only think of the one, it's just like everything just is all of a sudden there. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, I remember seeing that, and I remember just watching this. It's like the train wreck thing, it's all there and it's in your face, but you can't turn away from it. And it's just there. But there's a difference. There's a difference between having the suspense and anticipating what's going to happen, or just kind of getting a glimpse of what's going to happen, as opposed to having it splattered all over your screen.
And, it all goes back to the, what I think is the interaction, is the pulling in of the viewer, of the audience, into the story. And movies like that, like, Japanese horror and the films that we just talked about, where there's the silence and, the lead up, the slow, gradual lead up and such, pulls people in, pulls folks in. And, again, you can correlate that to what Lupus Creepus is doing with his videos, where, people want to put themselves in his shoes. People want to be in his living room as he's doing it, to try and see if they can experience the same thing. And it's sort of that feeling as they're being pulled into it. And that's what is attractive to people. And that's what, even though nothing may happen, that fear that's generated within you by just watching it is enough to say, I had a great time, because you experienced that emotion. And so that's what I think, is attracting to a lot of these videos, and why, Lupus Creepus has, such a great, fan base.
Well, I like seeing the way he does it, because, there's videos on YouTube where you see people trying to do these rituals and stuff, and they're all like so serious, and we're going to conjure this and we're going to do that. But the way he's doing it, I'm really impressed with the fact that he's just setting it out there and he's doing it. And the other part is that he's actually doing it. You always hear like these stories, if you play this game, this is going to happen. And a lot of us, we think about it, but how many of us actually really do it? Here you have a guy that's actually doing this stuff. You always hear stories about, my cousin, friends, whatever, did this and this happened. Well, here's a guy who's actually taking this ritual, and he's doing it, and he's filming it. And to me, part of it is the morbid curiosity. I want to see what's going to happen. But the other part about it is that he's doing it, and he makes it fun. It becomes like a fun thing, And even if nothing happens, I don't feel like it's like time that I've wasted. And with some of these videos, it's like I can't believe that I sat and I watched that whole thing. I'm never going to get that time back.
It also correlates to the, he mentioned it earlier about, a lot of these creepypastas are journalistic in nature. They've just been printed online, and I don't know if he was the first or not, but he took that print and put a voice to it, and he started to narrate these creepypastas online as a sort of, scary bedtime story for people. He'd put some visuals up there, some graphic visuals, with his voice as the narration to the story. And, some of them are really quick, 5 or 3 minutes even. Some of them are a little bit longer than that. And he puts affection to it. He puts, emotion as he's speaking, and actually brings the story to life. And I think, once again, what that does is, within the viewer or the person that's actually listening to that, creates the visual. It's like reading a book. And as you're reading the book, you're actually also visualizing what's happening at the same time. And by watching these videos and hearing his voice narrate these stories, you're actually picturing in your mind. I've done it many times when I've listened to him, and especially that story about the shadow girl. I was visualizing as he was talking, in my mind what the girl looked and what her parents looked like, and what was happening, what was going on, and I started to put my twist to it. I became the author at some point during that story, and that's exciting. That's fun to me. To watch. And again, it's the same thing that we sort of do when we do live investigations at haunted locations. We bring people into that, even though you're not physically there. It's the same concept. You feel as though you're there, and I think that's what is attracted to people, and that's why they seek that out as much. And so I don't think it's so much that they actually want people to die or they want something bad to happen. Hey, if it happens, that's something that you can brag about, at work or school the next day. But I think it's more so of the feeling that the viewer gets, you get, because, we're all selfish. What I feel when I'm listening or watching whatever it is on my computer.
Well, that's why I'm never going to stop reading, because when it comes to, like, some of these movies and some of these stories, there's nothing more creepy than my own imagination when I'm reading something, and then you see a book that all of a sudden they make a movie about it, and somehow it's just not the same. It is not as scary as when you were reading that book. When you're reading that book, all of the visuals that you get in your head are way more creepier than anything any director can put on there. So, and it's not just horror movies. It could be anything else. It could be romance novels. What goes on in my head is way more better, and then all of a sudden I see them. They put it on film, and it's just not the same. But that's just me.
We talked about it that Lupus likes the Wolfman, or that phenomenon, and that's that supernatural character. Do you believe there is such thing as a werewolf? I'll pose that also to the folks in chat right now who are listening. Do you guys believe that there is a werewolf? You don't hear it as much. You don't.
No.
Not many people talk about it as much, and I don't think we have done a show. I don't think.
Werewolves. No,
yeah.
We haven't. So there's a show we need to do. But see, for me personally, I don't think if you take the classic story of the werewolf, okay, I don't truly believe that. But I also believe that there are some medical conditions where people have a tendency, they grow hair all over their body. And is it possible that somebody somewhere had this medical condition where they've got the hair all over their face, and, without people knowing about it, all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's a werewolf. Is it possible that this poor person, whoever they were, became the basis of this legend? I kind of lean towards something like that. I mean, I don't truly believe that the way the legend goes, that it happens like that.
You think it's different than what the do you think it's do you think it's different than the legend of the vampire? And Dracula, and that
right.
The history of him. Do you think it's different, or do you think it may be along the same lines as that?
I think it's along the same lines. I really think the
you do?
vampire legend. Yeah, I do. I mean, I want to believe the vampire legend. I love vampires. I've read so much, watched so many films about vampires. But the logic part of my brain says that there's a logical explanation for it. And I kind of placed, like, you know, the mummy, werewolf, the vampire, all in that same category. And don't get me wrong, I mean, growing up, I loved watching the mummy movies. I loved that. I wanted to believe in the curses, you know, the Pharaoh's tomb and all that. But to me, now that I'm, you know, with everything that I've experienced, everything that I've learned and stuff, you know, and a lot of it comes from you with your you know, having to find a reasonable explanation. I tend to believe that there is some kind of logical explanation for these things.
So I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Okay.
So last week, when we talked about Bigfoot, you I guess you portrayed the idea that you did believe in that there is a creature of Bigfoot, and that it could even be, you know, of maybe even some spiritual realm, or have some connection to, you know, to that reference. Wouldn't that be the same then with a werewolf?
No.
Why not?
I don't believe it's the same, because it's hard to explain. Well, no, it's not hard to explain. The Native American legends and stories, I believe it. I believe it because there are sightings of Bigfoot. I believe that people have seen this kind of creature. I don't know. I don't remember any real accounts of someone coming in contact or seeing a werewolf. I haven't come across anybody who can honestly say that they've seen a vampire or have seen the mummy. You know, to me, those are movie characters, okay? But Bigfoot, to me, I think there's enough accounts. I think there's enough actual narratives of people seeing or coming in contact with something like this. I mean, is it the missing link? Is it the you know, the spot, you know, that one thing that crosses between animal and human? I don't know. But if you go back with the Native American legends, it is actually a race of people. You know, I believe that. I believe it because my grandmother said so.
Okay, I'm not sure I understand completely, but maybe we'll...
It wouldn't be the first time you didn't understand what I was saying.
No, it wouldn't be. There's actually there's a caller on the line. Why don't we? I'm going to pick up the caller and
okay,
and see where we go with this. I can't click on it. Can I click on it?
Can you? I can.
I don't know. We've been having problems all night. Area code 989. Hello, you are on the air with Anthony and Luci. Who's this?
Hi, Anthony and Luci. This is Noah. How you guys doing?
Oh, my God, Noah.
Noah. Hi, Noah.
What is up?
Oh, I know. You guys are talking about paranormal things. I have risen from the dead, so that alone should convince you of everything you guys have been talking about tonight.
It's the ghost of Noah Tysick.
Oh no, you guys were talking about werewolves, and I get both of what you're saying, that vampires are characters. You don't have vampire sightings and things like that. But
that's what Luci's saying, not me. That's what Luci's saying.
Well, Luci's saying. But with just with my family, with things like Bigfoot sightings and things that people have seen, if I had to believe in a certain quote-unquote monster, I think werewolves, to me, seem the most probable. Maybe not like in the sense of an American Werewolf in London, where, you know, the full moon comes and somebody shifts necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it could be another type of, you know, humanoid figure, just like Bigfoot. It doesn't seem any less probable to me, personally, living in Michigan, because we're big on, you know, Bigfoot and werewolves and things like that. I think it is possible. I haven't been attacked by a werewolf so far. Cross my fingers to see what happens, but I don't. I kind of, Luci, I love you to Della Reese's Pieces, but I'm kind of siding with Anthony. I think the same logic follows. With
oh my God, the world is ending. Oh my God!
I'm so sorry, Luci. I love you. And yes, but I can kind of see where the if one is possible, I can't see where the other one isn't.
And yeah, that's my point. And that's what I was trying to get at, as far as, you know, when we were going back to what we actually had last week on the show, talking about Bigfoot. She was so into and talking about how, you know, yes, I know you brought in, you know, the Native American side of it all, and that is a big belief in there. But and it actually goes to one of the questions. I forgot who in chat last week was talking about it. How can you believe in one thing so much and not so much in the others? And, you know, we talked about experience, and it has to be about experience. And I get it. You never experienced werewolf, just like, you know, Noah just said he'd never been attacked by a werewolf. But there has to be some sort of understanding that the possibilities of a werewolf-like, you know, and Mateo and Chad had put up Dogman, which is a similar type of creature, you know, a cryptid that is similar to what we know in Hollywood as quote-unquote werewolf. So how can you distinguish between the two and say that there is a sort of separation? That's what I was trying to get out before. Well, Noah, how is it, though, for you that you've come to your conclusion?
Thanks for asking. When you think of things like Frankenstein, we know that was created by Mary Shelley. She created the cosmology of that character, the whole idea of, you know, sewing this monster together and bringing him to life. Bram Stoker, he brought Dracula forward, but those legends existed before him. When it comes to werewolves, there's really no definitive piece of literature where somebody fabricated the werewolf. It's become part of an oral tradition, just like the Yeti, just like Bigfoot. And because of that, just because I haven't necessarily experienced one, I tend to lean toward there has to be some level of truth in it, just like the chupacabra, not to get into a whole other thing, but if somebody didn't invent it through literature or some other, you know, media in the past, it's the oral tradition tends to make me think there is some level of truth, and to Luci's credit, it could be some sort of genetic defect, like, you know, somebody being extra hairy and just being put into a sideshow. But at the same time, I wonder, you know, if some of the characteristics aren't true to those legends. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, and also one more thing before you respond, Luci. Could it also be even thought form, as we've all talked about, how the energy of actually visualizing and possibly even creating things and cryptids, just like, you know, werewolf and chupacabra, that could become reality because of the thought form and all the energy over the years that it's consumed and actually, you know, come to form.
Absolutely, and I would say, like I've been talking to my students, that, you know, matter tends to exist if you're going to look at physics and string theory. Things exist because if you look in an electron microscope and you look at cells, they kind of disappear until you observe them. And so I think that by us placing attention on it, what you're saying is we actually can make those things manifest. And I know that's getting kind of witchy and kind of on the, you know, way out there, But I think that actually, yes, we can actually manifest things just by placing attention on it. Just like now, all your listeners tonight and on YouTube and also on iTunes, once we say werewolf, it's going to bring that to their consciousness and perpetuate that whole legend.
Right. And I think you actually alluded to, some quantum physics or quantum mechanics part of it, with that whole observance of cells and electrons and such, that it's not observed until you look at it. It doesn't exist until you observe it. But I'm gonna put Luci now under the spotlight. Go ahead, Luci.
What I was going to say, I know you do. I mean, okay, my thing is that I don't have that much experience in research on werewolves. Okay, I will admit that. I don't know that much about it. All I know is what I've seen in the movies, that it's the result of a gypsy curse. I've watched both versions of Being Human, both the British and the American. So there's my experience with werewolves. I don't have a lot of experience with it. So therefore, I really still kind of see it as a character, and I see what you guys are saying, the thought forms and all that, but for some reason I just have not crossed that line of belief yet. Does that make sense?
Is it, I'll pose that question to Noah. Does that make sense to you, Noah?
Also back to me. Yes, that does make sense, because I think a lot of it's anecdotal. And if we think back to the original silver screen horror figures like the Phantom of the Opera, or even the whole, I can't remember the exact name, the swamp thing, that creature from the swamp.
Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Black Lagoon, yeah.
Creature from the Black Lagoon. Thank you. There's no history of that, and at the same time, there's no strict legend that's been passed down that we can trace. At the same time, there's no literary or historical documentation of it, but yet I don't believe in that. So that makes me wishy-washy too, I suppose.
I'm wishy-washy?
No, not by it. I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm wishy-washy. I'm very selective in my beliefs, I suppose.
Well, it's I don't know. It's just a little funny that hearing this from Luci, that usually she's a little bit more open-minded as far as I believe that there could be something, but I haven't experienced it yet. And usually she'll say that to us. But I've never heard this come from her, where she is so, because it's a story, or because she's heard it and it's not within her background, or her ancestral background, that it's not being considered as a possibility. And that's a little different for me to try and understand. Luci, you having electronic problems?
I'm having camera problems.
Okay.
My camera battery died. Oh, and my internet connection is bad.
Yes,
see,
the
werewolf is coming to the werewolf
I'm
is like
messing
with
me. I'm telling you, it's manifesting right now. It's manifesting. That's because you're denying it.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
They want you to know they're out there. Even in Chicago, they wander the streets and packs.
So Noah, how's everything going with you? How's how's your life been going? How's this semester? How the kids been treating you, or how have you been treating the kids?
That's great. Thanks for asking. I've really missed you guys, and I listen in as much as I can. My semester's going well. I'm teaching a couple of literature classes on Hinduism, Buddhism, and Taoism. We're all in the isms right now and talking about deities that may or may not be literal, which it's nice to be able to teach a college class that has a supernatural element to it. So it's really good for me. But it's great that you guys are still doing this show and that you're still bringing these awesome topics to other people that may not get to talk about them otherwise or hear about them. And it encourages me that you guys are so on the spot and you keep keep on keeping on. I really appreciate the work you guys do.
Well, we try. But I'm actually curious, and you've been teaching these types of classes for how long?
I'm afraid to say, but I will tell you, 16 years I've been teaching. 16
years, okay. So within 16 years, are you finding people more receptive and even more interested as the years have gone by, or do you think it's sort of an up and down, ebb and flow type of feel?
It's a great question. Actually, I've seen an increase in the last 2 years dramatically. Interestingly, most students don't identify with any religious sect or as a certain religion, but when it comes to anything paranormal, supernatural, otherwise, they always tell me things after class or in emails, quote, I'm really into that kind of stuff. So I think this upcoming generation, they're really receptive to that and open-minded to understanding mysteries that can't be explained by religion or necessarily, the hard sciences. And it's to me, it's encouraging and it's fun because I've actually made friends with former students where we can talk about these types of things in an intelligent way and not just be dismissive. They know there's possibilities out there.
Have they shocked you in any way as far as things that maybe you may not have known before?
I have had a few students that have actually not with with other entities, but that have actually come to me with stories of having contact with past loved ones that have actually given me they've given me readings. One girl in particular, she's been able to give me some readings that blew me away. I mean, she's a young girl. She's 19. She said, no, I'd like to give you a tarot reading. And it surprises me that although it seems that religion proper is on the downswing, that spirituality and paranormal interest is on the upswing. So it's really encouraging to hear them but to actually embrace these types of things and look at possibilities, and not blindly. They're not being kooky. They're actually very eloquent in the way that they present that stuff.
I was just going to ask you that question when you were talking about religion proper going down and the spiritual going up. Are you finding that? Are you feeling or are you finding a reason for that?
That's a great question. I think that we know the pendulum swings if you think with the 50s when the 1955, McDonald's started, Disneyland opened up, men started wearing pink, the middle class formed, everybody was prim and proper, 60s came, everyone was wild, 70s was wild in a different way, 80s was kind of toned down. You can kind of look at the ebb and flow of the cyclical nature of following what our parents taught us and thinking for ourselves. And I think we're kind of in a place where the establishment has been, they're tired of the establishment, even with this upcoming presidential election, not to digress into that, but they want to know for themselves. And so they look at their own experience, look at what they perceive and what they can observe directly or experience directly, and they tend to go with that rather than what their pastor said, their parents said, because we can all say, I was raised blank, but that doesn't quite do it for most of these kids. They don't buy into it. They want to know for themselves.
Do you think it sort of may, and I'm sorry to keep asking you questions, but I love talking to you.
No.
Do you think because we're in an age of, a huge upswing in technology and that instant gratification, do you think that maybe, folks are, swaying off to the spiritual side of things because there is more of an instant gratification in finding their truer self or their truer entity or quote unquote God than following the proper religion.
That's an awesome observation, and actually, yes, I would agree totally, because there are so many resources out there for anything, orthodox and unorthodox types of beliefs. But the nice part is they don't want to buy into any one set of. They don't want a package. They want to pick and choose. This is okay. I can see why this is being claimed. I can see this. I've experienced this. I perceive this. They kind of, technology is a very strong tool for them to explore things that they couldn't and go places that they couldn't. And at the same time, they like to shut it down and get out a tarot deck or read a little bit about something or meditate a bit, especially in this current class. They like to meditate. They're learning about mindfulness and about Tibetan deities. And so I think that, to your point, that's a really good observation, and it's a huge contributor to what we're saying.
Yeah,
Could it be that we're...
Go ahead,
well,
Luci.
could it be that we're just starting to really question everything we've been given to this point?
I was just going to say that.
All the things that we've been told don't exist, and all the things that we've been told that aren't real. All of a sudden, it's like, well, wait a minute. What if there really is something to this? Shouldn't I question this? Is that what it is?
Very good, Luci. I think it is. I think that they have to be convinced of a lot of things. I mean, they're very doubtful of what other people say. They they want to know it on their own. And I think that that because of the knowledge has increased and technology has increased, they actually appreciate, and although they didn't go to the old card catalogs like us with the little drawers and go through books in that sort of sense, but they can acquire knowledge so quickly that they actually they don't believe everything they're told up front. They verify it, which is awesome. I think it's great they verify it, and they don't always go to Wikipedia. They go to several sources and several form of media, whether it be video, audio, podcast, whatever, like you guys do, in a way that where they can really research stuff and come to their own conclusion. And I love that. I think that's the great part about teaching, and I think that that's what's going to actually kind of boost us up as a society beyond just accepting these package deals that we've been dealt for millennia.
Unfortunately, I think maybe our government has helped us because, there seems to be a general mistrust of the government. So people are questioning that. So is that questioning, I see it as it's going across the board. It's not just, here are the things that we're told every single day, and it's not just paranormal. It's everything. It's everything. It's time to start questioning things.
Absolutely. The whole fact of college, I ask students in my freshman, writing classes, why are you here? Were you told to be here? That's day one. And a lot of them don't know, and that creates kind of an intellectual crisis for them. But at the same time, it's like, they have to think about it. College isn't necessarily the keys to the kingdom. I think that in many ways it's a business that, and to cutting off my nose to spite my own face, it's a business that doesn't necessarily lead to anything but to more debt. And students are realizing that, and they're going into trades. They're taking specific programs in community colleges, maybe for 6 months up to 2 years, and making a very good living and being happy. And so they're a lot more shrewd and a lot more selective than even I was, or maybe former generations. They don't buy into it all, and their idea of the American dream is not what we were sold in past generations. They don't want the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids and the wife in the Donna Reed dress and apron. They don't want all that. So they're looking to make their own way, and I'm very excited about our future to see where that leads.
Yeah, I think the old American way, it just doesn't satisfy the generation now. It's not enough. There's not enough. I don't know if it's fulfillment or if it's some life goal that is just not it's not written down for them. There's more that they want out of life, and I think with religion, you're told to not question things a lot of times. Most religions are saying or teach you not to question the religion itself, that yours just to accept it. And, in this day and age, and that's why I brought up technology, people are not accepting of just that. They don't want to be spoon-fed. They want to question things. They want to believe in something for real so that they know it. And if they're able to research it and find the truth and it comes back to the original, then great. And I think that's what a lot of them are trying to do, is find the answers on their own and not just read it from a book and believe it off the bat.
Absolutely. And that goes, and interestingly enough, you guys, Buddhism and Hinduism, they pretty much they discovered things, 5,000 to 6,000 years ago that is now being proven by science.
Right.
But that's not enough for students. They're able, when I present that stuff, they're able to see that and say, okay, there's a foundation. If those people could find it on their own, why can't we? And I think that's great. I really think that's great, because if you go back 8 years, I had students that were contrary just to be contrary with no footing. And that could have been a result of 9/11 and, if you're not with us, you're against us. If you don't support our troops, then I'm getting political, I'm sorry. If you don't support our troops, then, you're not American. We're in a very different time, and that includes everything, including the paranormal. And I think one sign of the time, if we want to look at the zeitgeist that we're in right now, is the reboot, and don't hate me for mentioning this, of the X-Files. I'm very surprised from what I've seen with that show and what I thought of it, with even the attitudes of the characters. Mulder, he's much more reserved, and Scully is much more believing. And I think it's a good mirror of what's happening in society. People are being much more practical, and at the same time, they're much more open. We're being free thinkers is basically what's happening.
So this is all part of the awakening that we've talked about. It's not just a spiritual awakening, it's an intellectual awakening too.
Absolutely. It's a brand new age of enlightenment, Lucy, I think. Because if you look in the past, we had, the whole, you had the Dark Ages where religion ruled. Then you had the Enlightenment where science and art ruled. And those were extremes. And I think that we're learning to see the nuances in thinking and believing and feeling, rather than being polarized. And that's, again, it's a beautiful place to be. And, that whole idea of the age of Aquarius, I honestly think we're headed there, where people are going to be more enlightened in their own way.
So when it comes to the werewolf, I just simply need to be enlightened.
Yes. Not just on the werewolf.
Not at all. But, Lucy, we've all read Little Red Riding Hood. Come on, man. There's a wolf in there. He's the grandma. That goes back to grade school.
We started off talking with Lupus Creepus and getting into werewolf, and we end up on religion and intellectual awakening. Only with Noah does that happen. Only with Noah.
I am sorry for leading the conversation way to the other end.
We love talking
to you guys, and I miss you guys so much.
Absolutely. We miss you, and please keep in touch. And, if there's anything that you need from us, just let us know. You're a great friend, and we love talking to you always, always.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate being allowed to speak on your show, and I will definitely stay in touch. Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's funny. It's like when you first start off on YouTube and you're typing in, on YouTube and you're typing in looking for a video of something or research, and maybe it's ghosts, and then the last video that you're watching could be carpentry work in Afghanistan, and that's what happens. That's what happens on this show. We talk to Lupus Creepus, werewolf, and then to enlighten and awakening with an intellectual and religious spirituality. Amazing.
I always end up with doggy videos. I do my research, and I always end up watching dogs.
I don't want to know. Well, I just want to say thank you to Lupus Creepus for coming on the show. It was wonderful to talk to him. I think we all got a better understanding of his channel, Lupus Creepus on YouTube. And again, like I said, we're going to post all his stuff on our Facebook page so that if you've been under a rock and don't know about him, you can go and check him out and watch his channel. He and his friends are awesome people. So thank you for coming on the show, and, unexpectedly and surprisingly, thank you, Noah, for calling in and giving us an enlightening conversation, and always good to have you on the show. So thank you so much. And, Luci, what do we have?
Let's go to the Paranormal Review Radio Fan of the Week, and this week it is Barbara Hendricks of Palm Bay, Florida. She is a member of the Paranormal Review Radio fan group. She's a paranormal investigator and founder of CERF, Paranormal Investigations. That stands for Central Regions of Florida. Some of her likes, she likes Andrea Bocelli, Van Morrison, Sam Smith, Destination Truth, The Haunting of, Ghost Adventures, and Celebrity Ghost Stories. And, of course, she likes Paranormal Review Radio. Thank you so much for being a fan, and congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, Barbara, for being a fan. And don't forget, if you want to be a Paranormal Review Radio fan of the week, all you have to do is just, like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, say hello, make a comment, anything at Paranormal Review Radio.
You can also like our stuff on Tumblr. You can also like our stuff on Twitter. Tweet us. Okay, we're on those. We're on iTunes. So there's always some place where you can find us. Okay? Because we're getting fans of the week. Well, we're getting fans of the week from all over. It's not just Facebook. We're getting them from YouTube. Yeah. We're getting them from Twitter. We're getting them from emails that people send us.
Absolutely. And one thing I just wanted to say before Luci went off and promoted what next week's show is all about, I just want to remind folks or let people know that if you are just listening to us on Blog Talk and not going to YouTube, you're actually going to start missing something different that we just started last week. And as you probably may have heard Luci and I talk about and mention the problems that we had tonight, we both have video cameras on us, and we are videotaping the shows. So now you get to see, not only hear us live, but you can actually see us and see the behind the scenes of Luci and I interacting and talking with our guests on YouTube. So if you go to our YouTube channel, which is some weird name, but if you just type in Paranormal Review Radio on YouTube, you can catch us there. So if you haven't gone there yet, check it out, and you'll wonder, actually not wonder, but you'll know the reason why Luci and I are on radio and not on television. I make that as a joke. But
you'll actually see my brand new movie camera die on me and stop in the middle of the broadcast.
And my camera die on me, so there's going to be some black glitches that'll pop up during this episode that you're going to watch tonight.
But anyway, so there you have it, folks. Lupus Creepus, a man who dares to really try the things we think about and find the truth while having some fun while doing it. We all love the creepy, the scary, and the unknown. Do we have the courage to find out what's real and what's not? Even if you don't, we're glad Lupus has tried, and it's awfully fun to watch. So, we had so much fun with this week's show, we wanted to keep it going. Are you ready? Next week, we will be looking at the top 20 scary facts you don't want to know. What things exist in our world that are too creepy to be true? They're out there, and we'll be discussing them in detail. If you think tonight was creepy, wait till next week. You'll want to keep the lights on for this one. Thank you to all of you, our paranormal family. We love spending time each week with all of you, and we hope you feel the same. Thank you, Anthony, for making Friday nights the best night of the week. So, until next week, my little creepers, be brave and have a paranormal week. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Paranormal Review Radio.